Hey, when was the last time you had your AC unit get a tune-up? Because, if you don't tune that rascal up, the life expectancy could be affected. And you want to catch any and all problems before you have a problem. Like I said, your AC system's like a car. It needs regular maintenance. You need to put a filter in it, because and that comes with the service. So who are you going to call? Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling. At Straight Shooter, they understand the importance of quality and dependability, and that's why they offer a 1-hour appointment window, no diagnostic fees, no dispatch fees, just straight up honest service you can trust. Call Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling today at 619-922-3937, and you'll pay only $17.76 for a complete AC tune-up. No bull, just cool. You can also book online at straightshooter.ac. That's straightshooter.ac. Tell them you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio.
Yeah, call Straight Shooter. Those guys are great sponsors, great guys. I was happy to be able to interview them a couple of weeks ago, so check them out. Get your Gun Prom tickets, gunprom.com. Gun Prom this year, of course, the San Diego County Gun Owners Second Amendment Celebration Dinner is October 12th. It's coming up here. It's just a couple of months away. It's casino night. We're going to have it in the La Costa Omni, which is basically Carlsbad is where that is. So come and join us. Have fun. You can do roulette, craps. We're going to have a virtual shooting gallery. We're going to have a silent auction. We're going to have all kinds of different fun. Be food and drinks and fun for everybody. So go to gunprom.com. Buy your tickets today. Bring a date. This counts as date night, by the way, guys. So bring your best girl. And girls, bring your best guy and come have fun with us. Go to gunprom.com and buy tickets. Also, the San Diego Gun Show is happening September 7th and 8th. It's going to be at the Center for the Arts in Escondido. That's the same place that the gun show was at a few months ago. So come and have fun with us. There's also, of course, going to be a symposium with a lot of guest speakers. And yes, you can buy guns, and yes, you can buy ammo. Of course, all local and state laws apply. But come on down, check it out, have fun with us, learn some cool stuff, take a class, listen to a speaker, and have fun. Go to gunownersradio.com/gunshow. gunownersradio.com/gunshow. Okay, Q&A, Mike's Q&A. So one of the questions I got this week is about renewing your CCW. So I get asked this a lot, which is great. At the beginning, no one asked to renew their CCW because no one had a CCW to renew. So we helped get them CCWs, and now it's getting to the point where people are on their second renewal. People that applied back in 2017, 2018, when we were able to get the policy changed in the county, are now on their, like I said, second renewal. I think, if I'm doing the math right, it might be third, but I think it's at least their second renewal. Mine's up in January, I found out. So here's what you do. You can go to San Diego County Gun Owners.com or SDCGO.org and go to the CCW section. You'll find a link to the sheriff's website, or just go directly to the sheriff's website, and you can read about renewals. But basically the process is this. 30 days, or as close to 30 days as you can get. We were saying 45, but they've actually got it back down. Thank you, Alicia. We were saying 45, but it looks like they've gotten it back down to about 30 days. So 45 to 30 days. I think you can get it done in 30 these days. It looks like they're really working through their backlog well. What you want to do is take your class, and you're renewing, so your class is going to be 8 hours. It used to be 4, now it's 8. Thank you, SB2. So we're working on getting that reversed, but for in the meantime, it's an 8-hour class for renewals. Go take your class, pass your class successfully, get the certificate from the instructor, and then you go back into the system, submit your paperwork. They no longer use Permidium. They use a different system that's internal, and that's part of the reason that they're a little bit more efficient than they used to be. Permidium never quite worked out for them, so they just built their own system, which I think is really, really great, and the sheriff is owed a lot of praise for that. So thank you so much for making things better. It's not perfect. The sheriff and San Diego County Gun Owners agrees that we basically want to get the process from application to issuance down to 90 days. We're not there yet, but we're working on it. So that's question number one. I had two questions, guys. This is kind of interesting, and I wanted to bring it up. I had two on Thursday, within about a half hour, I got two emails. The first email said that they were going to cancel their membership because we endorsed Trump. And the second email said that they were going to cancel their membership because we didn't endorse Trump. And I'm like, how are two people reading all the same information and both coming to the wrong conclusion?
We didn't endorse Trump.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. So San Diego County Gun Owners is a PAC, a political action committee, which means it's a political organization. Basically, when you file, you have to decide. Well, it's not entirely true. You if you want to endorse state and local, no problem. If you want to endorse federal, no problem. But if you want to endorse both, it is almost like you're running two organizations at the same time. So we have chosen to only endorse state and local.
Since day one.
We don't endorse on the federal level. And part of the reason is federal level's taken care of. Everybody's heard of the NRA. Everybody's heard of Gun Owners of America. Mm-hmm. The federal level's taken care of. There's no reason for us to duplicate efforts.
And if we did, we'd have to have both Kamala and Trump call in because we have to give them equal time.
If we could get a hold of either of them, yeah.
Oh, I talked to him yesterday.
Did you? Which one?
Kamala.
What exactly did you two talk about?
I ordered a salad.
Gotcha. So we can't endorse. We don't endorse on the federal level, and we haven't taken the steps to even be able to endorse on the federal level, and that's because it's already being done. We endorse on the local level because nobody else is doing that. We want to make sure that your city council member, that your mayor, your school board member, your sheriff, your county board of supervisor. We want to make sure that all these local boards and councils are packed with Second Amendment, pro-Second Amendment, endorsed San Diego County gun owners.
In all honesty, those are more important than the federals, I think.
We listen, we can move mountains on the local level.
Yeah, because nobody's pushing the locals. Everybody's worried about the presidency. Well, that'll take care of itself.
Well, the other thing is, who's going to win in California?
Well,
on the presidential race?
Nobody.
That's probably the best answer. Trump's not going to win in California.
No.
So why would we make any effort to or spend any resources?
Another one, just not to go politically hardcore. What happened to Steve Garvey?
No.
Really. He was all hot to trot. You could beat a Shift.
I don't know about that.
But it's just like
it's a tough opponent in California. California is it's got a very skewed.
You think?
Registration.
Yeah.
And the folks that were registered on the right side of the spectrum are all leaving. They're all going to different states.
Sure.
So it makes it a little difficult. But the important thing about this, to walk away from this Q&A, is to know that our whole strategy is to endorse people on the local level, not the federal level, the local level. And we're doing that. The voter guide is out, sdcgo.org/voter guide. And the first distribution was yesterday.
And I got it.
At Discount Gun Mart. And you got it in the email. Yeah. And we were at Discount Gun Mart for their sidewalk sale. Thank you guys so much at Discount Gun Mart for supporting us. So our guest today is Randy Rozzell. How are you, my friend?
Good, and thanks for having me on the show, Michael.
You bet. We should have him say the answer. That dude's got a better voice than I do.
No, we pay you too much.
We pay me too much?
Yeah, so you can pay me, I'll take it.
Holy cow.
See?
I just have a face for radio. Yeah, this guy's got a voice and a face for radio.
Gig.
No kidding.
Maybe it's be a shutter driver.
Yeah, get him out of here. We may or may not have Randy in the next segment.
That's right. You better
anyway,
think about it.
Looking forward to talking to you, Randy. I can't wait to tell people your story, my friend. You're going to talk about the top 5 tips for home defense.
Sounds like a plan.
Great.
You hire him. Those are your top 5 tips. You don't need to know
live in that
anything.
guy's neighborhood.
Just have him come live with you. Hey, if you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California's best firearms lawyer, and that means John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun law, so put his number on your phone right now. It's 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150. Again, put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150.
Yeah, John Dillon's a sponsor at Gun Prom again this year. Great guy. I love John to death. Okay, our guest, Randy Rozzell, top 5 tips for home defense. But before we get to your top 5 tips for home defense, you have an extremely interesting career.
Yes.
You enlisted in the Navy right out of high school and became a corpsman. And take it from there. You became a corpsman and...
Yeah, so I joined right out of high school, 1994. Started off as a corpsman or doc. I served with the Marines the majority of my time. And then September 11th happened. And after September 11th happened, I just thought I thought I'd missed the war of my generation. You know, we just, the first Gulf War had just finished. And so becoming a SEAL wasn't really big on my radar.
Because you enlisted in 94.
And it ended right in 92.
Yeah, right.
And so September 11th happened. And when I thought about how do I want to serve my country, when my grandkids are asking me like, hey, Grandpa, what did you do in the war? I wanted to say I served at the best of my ability. And I thought that would be with the SEAL teams. So I decided to become a SEAL after that.
So how do you do that? Just out of curiosity, how do you do that? You're a corpsman, you're a Navy corpsman attached to the Marine Corps, and you guys are doing a bunch of cool stuff. But what do you do? Do you just raise your hand and say, hey, I think I want to go to BUD/S? Or you know what I mean? Like, how does that?
It's a little bit more complicated than that. You have to fill out a request sheet. And from that request sheet, it's got to go up your chain of command. You have to take a SEAL physical screening test. And you have to do really well on this physical screening test. They have the minimums. But if you don't blow the minimums out of the water, you're not going to get selected. There's like 10,000 people a year that apply for BUD/S. And if you're not in that top 20%, you're not going to end up showing up, ever walking across that quarterdeck. So between that, you've got some interviews along the way, and as long as you pass those, and then you show up and you have to take a mental screening test because they want to be sure that you're not crazy when they hand you a weapon.
That's kind of a catch-22, though, isn't it? Is that where the
yeah, you got to be a little crazy, right, to want to do it, but not too crazy that you do some wazoo stuff overseas.
So when you say, "Hey, I think I want to do this," is it were you encouraged by the folks you were serving with, or were you? It almost feels like gosh, these guys are going to make fun of me. You know what I mean?
So what's funny is I'd already taken the recon screening test. I was going to go recon and be a doc with recon. And so I'd gone over to the recon unit and asked them if they could put me through through the SEAL screening test. And they were like, get the heck out of here. They were like, what, are you too good for us now, doc? And I was like, so I ended up having to drive down to Charleston, South Carolina to get an EOD unit to give me the BUD/S screening test.
That's interesting.
And the whole time I was down there, they were talking to me about going EOD. So that I didn't have anybody that was pushing me into BUD/S.
Yeah.
You really have to be self-motivated.
I was going to say that's part of the screening right there, is that you have to be so motivated. So you go through BUD/S. It's when did you graduate BUD/S?
I didn't graduate BUD/S until 2006.
2006. Talk about your BUD/S experience or experience with BUD/S.
I have a very unique story. I went into Hell Week 4 times before I made it through.
No.
So what a lot of people don't understand is you go through hell just to get to Hell Week. Everybody thinks like, oh, it's just tough, and then you get to Hell Week and that's where all the quitters are. You lose half the people before Hell Week, and then you just lose the other half of the quitters during Hell Week.
Wow.
My first Hell Week, I got pneumonia on Wednesday night, and I had just got married and just had my first baby, so I got rolled, and my wife was like, well, why don't you quit and come back, and you won't miss our first anniversary, because I'd left them on the East Coast. You won't miss the first birthday. So I let that momentary mental weakness seek in when I was in rollback land, and I went in the next day and I quit.
How far did you have to go roll back when you
roll back? You have to roll back all the way.
So you had to go all the way.
Yeah, so I had to start over all the way again. So I was like, all right, well, I'll come back and I'll be stronger. I wasn't doing well with the PT test anyways. I was leaving the Marines. I was way too muscular. I'm only 5'9" tall, but I was 215 pounds of muscle, and running those 4 mile to 7 mile soft sand runs down the beach was just too much. I was just carrying too much weight. So I'm like, all right, I'll come back stronger, and we'll come back and when
maybe
I can
a little
do it again.
leaner.
Yeah, a little leaner, right? Not weightlifting stronger, but stronger to make it through buds.
That's an important point. To and it was funny in the 80s. We're the same age. So in the 80s, you got Schwarzenegger and Stallone as Rambo, and you got all these
And Schwartz.
They would have never made it.
So
Never.
in the meantime, my old man was in the Navy, and he served with some SEALs when he was doing research, and I'm going, they don't look anything like that. These guys look like like long distance bicyclers or CPAs. I mean, they look like normal. You can't pick them out of a crowd of two. They don't look anything like that. And I don't think a lot of people realize that body type, that you don't make it. You don't
They
make
don't
it.
even make it into buds.
I would
You
imagine.
come in built like a brick, you know what? They already know you're not going to make it.
Yeah, you just carry too much muscle,
Yeah.
and muscle doesn't really float well either. So,
It does have a tendency to sink.
no.
Okay, so you went back, and you went back up again.
I went back, and my wife left me the week before I went into Hell Week and took my daughter. So I came home the Tuesday before Hell Week to an empty apartment, and I went into Hell Week with all of that going on. So that marriage didn't work out.
And unfortunately, 97% of
Right.
SEALs do get divorced. They don't make it.
So she left me before I even became one. So, but
Well, don't count that one. That
I
doesn't
didn't
count towards the
that. I didn't
stats.
count that one. So,
So that's two.
so that's number two. She left. I went into Hell Week, and I hyperextended my knee during rock portage. Got rolled again, and I quit again in rollback land because I just wanted to go save my marriage. Well, needs of the Navy was like, well, son, we need you in Okinawa back with the Marines. So I knew there's no way I was going to save that marriage.
Yeah.
So, and when I was waiting to go to Okinawa, I actually met my current wife. And we've been together over 20 years.
Nice.
So,
Congratulations. There
So
you
it
go.
wasn't me.
No, of course not.
So you get through buds. They sign you to a unit, and
Eventually I did.
And
yes.
how long were you with the teams?
For the rest of my career. So I spent my entire time at SEAL Team 7 until I took instructor duty.
So you're an expert on going through the training. Nobody knows it better than you do.
Yeah. My third time, I got swimmer-induced pulmonary edema.
Oh, geez.
Then I made it through Hell Week on my fourth try.
Yeah.
And then in second phase, I perfed my eardrum during pull comp, had to do 2 second phases. Finally made it through second phase, and then the rest of my career was great. I had no issues. And in fact, in 2012, I got SEAL Team 7, Naval Special Warfare Group 1, the Naval Special Warfare Command, SEAL Sailor of the Year in 2012.
Congratulations.
So for somebody that made it through buzz by the very skin of their teeth, right, it was kind of cool to
Well, you had that no
rise to
quit
that.
attitude.
Well, I had the no quit attitude, and I never took it for granted. Every day I was in the SEAL teams, I felt lucky to be there.
So you were phenomenal job, by the way.
No.
You went into the SEAL teams, and we were talking right before the show about how you didn't have any interest in doing the SEAL delivery units.
No.
The little subs that they're on. You wanted to go knock down doors.
Yes.
So after that, were you ever in the water again, or was it pretty much you're in the sand, in the mountains for the rest of your?
On my deployments, I was always in the sand in the mountains, but in our training, we never leave that area of expertise. So when we're doing our workups, we're still diving, we're still doing over the beaches. We maintain that skill, but I didn't deploy and ever have to use that skill.
So, and that's kind of what I've never asked this. I've never thought to ask this question. But when you're in the pool or in the ocean and you're doing this stuff, is it ever going through your head oh, come on, I don't need this crap. I need a gun. I need to know how to navigate. I need, you know what I mean? Did you ever kind of think to yourself, why are we even covering this right now?
Well, with the current war that was going on, we were in the desert. I'm like, why do I need 2 weeks of diving? Can't we just kind of do 2 days of diving?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, of course it went through my mind because I knew where our current situation was.
Yeah.
But SEAL stands for sea, air, land.
Yeah.
Right?
And
We
plus
have to be proficient at all of those things.
And plus, you have to be trained on all phases. You can't just say, okay, well, I'm good with that. Let me go do this. Because that's not what a SEAL is.
And you never know where we're going to be needed. Right? So just because I'm deploying here at this time doesn't mean I'm not going to be deploying somewhere else. It's really close to the water the next time.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, so then after your post-Navy career, you were a firefighter.
Yes.
Talk about that. What made you go into fire? That's not a usual career path.
Yeah, a lot of people go into law enforcement. Some people start businesses. Some people do a lot of contracting work.
You just like waxing fire trucks.
Yeah, that was like literally my favorite part. No, so I retired in 2016, and I had a couple of buddies of mine that had got out and become firefighters. So I was a firefighter for the city of San Diego and really enjoyed it, loved it. I chose fire because honestly, it seemed harder. Law enforcement seemed like the easy route, and fire was more difficult to get into. And what was unique about fire was it was more like being in a platoon. So a small group of guys going to do a common mission, where law enforcement, you're either one guy or two guys, but the camaraderie of the fire service was really what drew me to that and what I wanted to be part of because I was so used to it.
What was the scariest time you had?
Let's hold that till we come back from break.
Okay, when we come back from break, what time in your career, Navy or firefighter, were you most concerned? I'm not going to say scared or afraid. I'm going to say concerned. You know what I mean?
SEALs are
What made you
scared.
go, oh my gosh, this is serious business? We'll answer it after the.
You hear what he said? A SEAL that's scared. Unbelievable.
Okay. Oh,
What?
You got to read.
I know you're excited over
I
there.
am.
You going to read his book?
I am. We haven't even gotten there yet.
I know.
I'll probably get somebody to read it to me.
I think that's even a better idea. We'll get our Hawk Tui girl. She'll hook you up. Gun Rights Policy Conference. California gets a lot of heat for bad gun laws, but the fight for the Second Amendment flows through San Diego. Second Amendment Foundation is bringing the Gun Rights Policy Conference to San Diego on September 27th through the 29th in Mission Valley. This is your chance to listen to and meet with the activists and influencers on a national scale in our own backyard. Speakers include friends of the show, Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie, Masood
Ayub. Masood Ayub.
That's what I said, Masood Ayub. See, I can say that. John Correa from Active Self-Protection, and our very own John Dillon.
Maybe I should read the book to you, Dave.
No.
All right, keep going.
My girl's going to read to you.
All right.
Alan Gottlieb, Tom Gresham from Gun Talk, and a whole lot more. Register for free at saf.org/GRPC. That's saf.org/GRPC.
San Diego County Gun Owners members, consider it an honor, by the way.
Absolutely.
That SAF picked our county to do the Gun Rights Policy Conference because of all the good work we've been doing. Anyway, please join us. So, Randy, what in your career in the Navy, whether SEAL or before you were a SEAL or a firefighter, when was your most concerning point? When did you know what I mean? What sticks out in your mind?
Well, I definitely had a few times in the ocean that I thought I was going to drown. But the one time I was really concerned the most, it was overseas. We had just conducted a mission, and the CH-47 had come in and picked us up. And we got 2 RPGs shot at our helicopter. One must have been a dud because it hit the side, but nothing happened, or it didn't have the time to arm. The second one glanced off the side and busted a fuel line. So now we're leaking fuel all the way back to Kandahar. And, as a SEAL, we're used to being on the ground, at least even in the ocean, I've got some bit of control. But when you're on the bird and somebody else is flying the bird and you're leaking fuel and you're just trying to get back somewhere and you're hoping you don't fall out of the sky, there's no control on that. I've got none. For all the skill that I have, I'm at the mercy of the good Lord at that moment, just hoping that we make it back. And obviously we did. What's funny is there's this pond there that smells really bad, and you can smell it for miles, right? It's kind of like a sewage pond, and everybody hates it. But when we were coming back and we could start to smell that pond, it was like the sweetest smell ever.
So I take it you don't skydive.
I skydived when I was in the teams. I don't do that anymore. I think you only get so many.
Yeah.
And I don't like to test it.
No, I don't either.
So next thing we want to talk about tips for home defense. And I have a fun fact here I wanted to read. Randy served as the leading chief course and program manager for the Naval Special Warfare Combatives Department for 3 years, where he spearheaded the development of the current NSW, Naval Special Warfare, Combatives and Combatives Instructors Program, which is what SEALs learn today in hand-to-hand combat. If there's, you are well overqualified to give tips on home defense. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you here and hear your tips and hear your story. So what tips do you have for home defense?
Well, first of all, buy a firearm.
That's an excellent tip number one.
Tip number one, right? Buy a firearm. Tip number two is actually train with that firearm, right? A lot of people buy a weapon and then they never train on it, or they go to the range once, they put some holes in some paper, and now all of a sudden they think they're ready for that home invasion.
Let's go back to tip number one. Mm-hmm. What do you have a recommend if somebody comes to you, a couple, let's say a couple, 30-something-year-old couple, maybe they got a kid.
Yes.
And they say, you know what, we never really thought we'd need a firearm, but home defense is important to us. We need to buy a firearm. What do you recommend? Is there a process or a particular firearm you recommend, or what are your thoughts on that?
Every family and home has a unique situation. So you said a family of two and they have a kid, or so a family of three, a couple, right, and they have a kid. Well, what's the most important thing if there's a home invasion? To get to that kid, right? That's going to be every dad, every mom. Well, what's the easiest way to move through your house? Well, with a handgun or with a long gun?
Handgun.
Right, so with a handgun. So I would recommend them a handgun. Now, if we're talking about a single lady, I would recommend something like a shotgun, something where she can lock her door, barricade in her bedroom, hide behind her bed or hide in her closet, right? Very simple, easy, point, shoot, right? Takes less skill. She doesn't need to go out and clear her house, right, to see what's going on. She can wait on the cops, right, and just barricade herself. But if you have children, you've got to get to those kids, right? That's your number one priority. So what's going to be the easiest way of you doing that? Moving through there with a short gun versus a long gun.
Is there a no-no that you particularly like, hey, don't get this or don't buy that, or never, if you're this type of person, don't do that? Do you have any kind of no-nos or no, it's pretty much wide open?
Not really no-nos. I think it's have a weapon that you know how to use, that you can shoot, that you can manipulate well, and manipulate well in low light conditions, right? Because nobody really breaks into your house during the middle of the day. It can happen, but something that you're familiar with that, you're not figuring out how to use it in the moment.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So number two, then that leads to number two perfectly, training.
Right.
Talk about brand new couple, they got their gun. What does it mean to get more training? Like what should they be what should they be looking for? What should they ask the instructor, I
would be looking for a tactical course, not just a marksmanship course. When we look at self-defense, most self-defense attacks happen within 7 to 10 feet. Inside your house, right? How long is that shot going to be? So we don't just need to be taking those 15-yard, 25-yard shots with a pistol like that a lot of people do. We want to be thinking about things inside of that as well. And what are you going to do if someone's right there around the corner? How close is that shot? How do you want to be moving through that house? A lot of people teach the low ready position. I don't teach that. Now we're going to be fighting over that gun. I teach the high ready position.
Wow.
Why? Because when I go around the corner, I'm right there ready to muzzle strike them in the face or pull the trigger if we fight over that weapon system. I don't want to get in a fight over that weapon system. I want to win.
What's your bump in the night gun? What do you have? What's your situation? If you're or whatever you're comfortable telling us.
Yeah, mine's my SIG 226.
I've heard of it.
The one I carried in the teams. Now the one that I shoot at the range all the time is the SIG P320, the Wilson Combat, and on my wife's side of the bed is a Glock 19, and she's got a red dot on that and a flashlight and a laser because I want her to have every advantage she can possibly have if I'm not there.
When someone purchases a firearm, a pistol, like you were saying, for home defense, do you think, is it negotiable that, or is it non-negotiable to have a flashlight and a some kind of optic, whether a laser or red dot, whatever?
I think it depends on, again, your comfort level. I trained on the SIG 226 my entire time in the SEAL teams, and I always shot iron sights. That thing fits like a glove in my hand. It's part of me. But most people don't train that much. So I think having a flashlight, do we want to walk around with a flashlight on? Well, no. Everybody always assumes that the person inside their house is not armed. Well, if they are armed, all they got to do is shoot at that flashlight. But what is a flashlight good for? PIDing, personally identifying who it is you're about to shoot. I want to be sure it's not my kid, right? I want to be sure it's not somebody else that just stay the night over, because, I've got older kids and they've got kids that stay the night, right? So I need to always personally identify before I take that shot. So I don't walk through with a flashlight on. But before I take that shot, I sure want to know who that is.
Interesting. What about a preventative tip? Training, firearms, that's a reactive. What's a good preventative tip for home defense?
I think an American flag.
Why?
Maybe a F-250, maybe a home alarm, right? Maybe some dogs, right?
Or at least a beware of dog sign.
Yeah, right. So
lock some doors and windows.
Obviously, I grew up in a small town and our doors were never locked, but you can't do that, right? Just not looking like an easy target, right? As far as, the outside of your home. So a lot of times when people have an American flag out there, they tend to think they have more conservative values.
They might
they may own a gun, right? Maybe or if they've got that big German Shepherd that barks every time, maybe let's move on down a little further down the road, right? Now, we have to be assuming that, these people are thinking and they're not on drugs, right? But that would be preventative.
When I remember in the late 90s, I was going to Dog Beach a lot from PB, and Dog Beach is in OB, and there was a house in OB that had a target with a bunch of holes, like a silhouette target with a bunch of holes in the front window. And I thought, that's pretty preventative.
Yeah, that's an OB, right?
Yeah.
Still there.
Is he really? Yeah. I haven't been down there forever.
That's great. I don't know if my wife would go for that.
It's not very decorative.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's number 3 tip?
Number 3 is come up with a plan, right? I told you already that every family is different. Everybody's home is different. If you don't have a plan, you're not going to know what to do. So just because you got training, well, how are you going to move through your house together? What are your responsibilities? What are your spouse's roles and responsibilities? What do you want your kids to do?
Nice. All right.
And number 4 would actually be, okay, cool, we came up with a plan. Let's practice that plan.
There you go.
Right? Let's walk through it. A lot of families, they do fire drills, maybe, right? They have a fire plan in case there's a fire in their house. They don't have a home invasion plan. And in today's world, evil's everywhere. And it could be coming. You need to have a plan for it.
Yeah. And number 5, what's a 5th?
Know what you're going to do after the home invasion.
All right. What are some tips for that? That's a very good tip.
Well, finish clearing your house. Everyone always assumes there's only one person. There's no guarantee of that, right? I go over magazine changes a lot, and people are always telling me, like, well, I've got 15 rounds in here. I've got 17 rounds in here. Why do I need to practice magazine changes? I'm like, why do you think it's only one person?
Interesting. So you have a book coming out, right?
Yes.
Can people get it yet?
Not yet. It's coming out. It should be out relatively soon. It's called Pressing Forward. And I also have my own company, awctactical.com is where you can check it out. It stands for American Warrior Combatives. I teach self-defense and tactical shooting to civilians and law enforcement agencies.
Awesome job, Randy. Thank you, man. Very interesting.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Good excuse to come back once the book's out.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to read it first.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
You bet. Is there a coloring opportunity in your book, or am I going to have to read the whole thing?
Told you. No, we're going to get you the Hawk Tui.
It'll be on Audible.
Read to you.
Good. I'm in.
He's in. He didn't take a picture of his watch.
It's a G-Shock, right?
See?
Yeah.
You didn't take a picture.
Well,
God, I thought he was on the top.
G-Shocks are hardy as all get out, man.
He is.
Yes, he is. Yeah, they're hardy as he is.
He is hardy as he is. Hey, if you want gear at an affordable price, check out Condor Outdoor. Whether you're a military professional, law enforcement officer, or simply an avid outdoorsman, Condor products are designed to be versatile, durable, and above all, reliable. So if you're looking for the best in tactical gear, look no farther than Condor Outdoor. Use code GOR for 15% off the website. That's CondorOutdoor.com. Use code GOR for a 15% discount.
Awesome. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is, of course, we have an election that's coming up, and we just talked at the top of the hour about how we focus on local, and I need everybody to focus on local, but something happened nationally that I wanted to point out, just because I think it's fruitful for activists. And Brendan's got a clip I'm gonna have him play here in just a second, but let me set it up first. So first off, by the way, if you haven't seen our voter guide, please go to sdcgo.org/voter guide. Look at it, use it, but then we actually need you to take that voter guide and spread it out to as many people as you possibly can. Everybody that you know in San Diego, make sure that they see the voter guide. We have local, city, and county on there, as well as state. And if you do not see a person on there, if you say you're looking at hey, what about the city council seat on this particular city? They don't mention it. Well, there's a note at the top of the voter guide. If they're not on our voter guide, there's a reason. Don't vote for anybody. If you're looking at a particular office and there's two people there, and we haven't recommended either of them, it's because neither of them are worth your vote. And so leave that off. Don't fall for this whole, you got to vote for somebody. No, you got to wake up the next morning, look yourself in the mirror, and be proud of yourself. So, picking, really bad rather than worse, isn't gonna do anybody any good. So send them the message by making sure they don't get our votes. Last thing you want to do is have a candidate think that, hey, you're going to vote for them whether the Second Amendment community likes them or not. That doesn't get us anywhere. In fact, that gets us ignored. So check out the voter guide, number one. Number two, send it to everybody you know. Number three, after you're done on the voter guide page, go to our volunteer page. August, September, and October, we have a ton of volunteer opportunities. It's super easy. All we need you to do is sign up. We'll take care of the rest. But the big thing we need is we have tabletops all over the county. I think just every Saturday and some other days as well, but at least every Saturday, August, September, and October. And all we need you to do is man the table. Someone else sets it up. Someone else determines where the table will be. Someone else is there to help you the whole time. But we need you to be there as well. And they'll train you what to do. Basically, you're passing out the voter guide.
You get a shirt?
Get a shirt. That's the other thing. You get a San Diego County Gunner's T-shirt, which that should be that's its own selling point.
In itself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, see?
So anyway, pick one. If you've never done one before, try it out. But we have a lot of work to do. And I'll tell you, if you asked any political operative across the country, if you said, "Hey, how would you like it if your candidate had a tabletop at every gun shop?" And they were telling the gun shop customers to vote for your candidate, would that be helpful? Every one of them would say, "Oh my God, that's a great idea. Please do that." It's enormously valuable. And then next year, a year from now, when I'm vetting candidates for 2026, I'm going to be able to tell them, look what we did and look who we got elected. If we don't do those things, why would they take us seriously? So it's a simple step, 4-hour shifts. Check out our voter guide, spread our voter guide, and then help us spread our voter guide by volunteering.
And how do they sign up to be a tabletop sitter?
You go to our volunteer web page on our website. So it's sdcgo.org/volunteer, and you can see all the volunteer opportunities there.
Gotcha.
Okay, so one of the things we like to talk about is how to talk to, as an activist, as a Second Amendment activist, how do you talk to other people? And I've brought it up in the past about how you have to talk to them in a way that matters to them. So if the Second Amendment to you is all about the sanctity of the Constitution. Like, hey, this is our Constitution and that's important. And the other side doesn't care about the Constitution in any way, then you're never going to convince them. You have to figure out, okay, what exactly is this person's value system, and then relate the Second Amendment to that value system. And Kamala gives us a real good example of how you can talk right past someone. And so I wanted to play that clip. Brendan, can you play that clip for us?
We want to ban assault weapons, and they want to ban books. While you try to create safe and welcoming places where our children can learn, extremists attack our freedom to live safe from gun violence.
Okay, stop. They attack our freedom to live safe from gun violence. So part of what people, so there are only six foundations that people base their political opinions on. Caring, they care about someone or something. Fairness, that is or isn't fair. Gee, that's not fair, so that's important to me. And then on the left of center, those are the only two that really matter, because the third one they care about is liberty or freedom. And the problem is, it can mean anything. So when you talk to somebody about liberty or freedom, it can mean anything. And because it means anything, it means nothing. Now, what do I mean by that? She wants the freedom. She wants the liberty to live in a world where you don't have the liberty to have guns. That's essentially what she just said. Brendan, play it one more time.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Give me like 3 seconds. Sorry. All right.
Sorry, bud.
No. It's okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, no. Never mind. Sorry. I got to go on. All right.
My bad.
This is live radio, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. No, it's okay. Here we go. This is it.
We want to ban assault weapons, and they want to ban books. While you try to create safe and welcoming places where our children can learn, extremists attack our freedom to live safe from gun violence.
Good. So they want the freedom to take away your freedom. So relating to them on a liberty level, trying to say, hey, look, this is my freedom. This is my liberty. We live in a country that's free. And, you'll talk right past them because they want the liberty and freedom to live in a country where you don't have liberties and freedom. Specifically, guns. They equate guns with gun violence. She said right there, she wants a gun ban. It's a specific type of gun, or actually it's a very broad specific type of gun, which is unconstitutional. But she wants that liberty to live in this country without you having the liberty to be able to defend yourself. So if you're talking to somebody like that, they're not going to value sanctity. In other words, they're not going to value the fact that the Constitution is so important to the life of this country. They're not going to value an authority, right? If you say, hey, look, I have the authority of, from nature or nature's God, I have the, to be able to own these things. They don't value that. And then again, liberty and freedom, we're not going to get anywhere with there. So with somebody who has this view, or more importantly, somebody that's asking about that view, they're not sure, right? They're looking to, they're looking for more information from you. You're going to want to talk about caring and fairness. You're going to want to talk about like, hey, I care about people. I care about people, and that's why I want them to be able to defend themselves. There are people that own normal firearms because they want to be able to defend themselves and their kids and their family, and they're being, their rights and freedom are being stripped away. They have to go to jail, even though they're doing something that's normal in 49 other states. But California's got this horrible gun law, so now, they have to go to jail or they're felons. I care about those people. I care about their safety. That's why they need to be able to be defended. It's not fair that criminals get to have guns and I don't have anything to defend myself against them. It's not fair that only cops get to have guns and I don't get to, have the most effective self-defense tool in the United States. That's what influences people. Leave winning arguments to attorneys. You don't want to win arguments. You want to influence people. You want people to start with one view and end with your view. That's what's important. But I listened to that, and it dawned on me what a clear example she was giving of why, basing any kind of opinion on liberty or freedom or whatever, when you're talking with somebody who you disagree with, basing your argument on that is completely useless. They just don't see it. They want the liberty and freedom to have the exact opposite opinion as you and take your rights and freedom away.
I was just going to say, you're absolutely right, Michael, because in the sense that she's stuck in that attorney mindset. She used to be an attorney, and now she's a politician. You need to word your words correctly. But at this point, Kamala Harris, I don't have any sympathy or any kind of change of opinions on my matter on her for making, in terms of like, is she going to persuade me to vote for her anytime soon? Not a chance. Not a chance.
No, me either.
No.
And by the way, you're not going to convince her, right? She's a zealot. She has a vested interest in being wrong on this issue. So mostly you're talking about somebody who's scratching their head and going, hey, you know a thing or two about guns. Kamala Harris just said this. What do you think? That's your opportunity to change minds, to influence people. So anyway, Lead Talks every Monday at 7 p.m. streaming over our social media. Check out gunownersradio.com. Check out our Facebook page for that. John Dillon, the attorney, is actually going to talk about that very subject of talking to activists. So stay tuned for our announcement on that, and check us out on Lead Talks every Monday at 7.
Hey, if you're a gun owner and you need legal protection, even if you've done everything right, even if you're 100% justified, you should be prepared for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. That's why you need firearms legal protection. When you join, you get uncapped legal protection for self-defense, for civil or criminal cases with a 24/7 hotline. Joining is easy. Just go to firearmslegal.com and click on to become a member. Use code GOR for a great discount. Enjoy peace of mind knowing that you are protected if you are ever involved in self-defense incidents. That is firearmslegal.com and use discount code GOR.
All right, subscribe to our email list and win some swag. Subscribe and win. This week's winner is Matt Thomas. Congratulations. Prizes at gunownersradio.com. To claim your t-shirt or hat, email prizes at gunownersradio.com. Congratulations, Matt Thomas. If you want to be cool like Matt as well, go to gunownersradio.com and sign up for our email list, and you might win some cool swag. Okay, last hour we were talking about Lead Talks. Lead Talks, the idea is that we get trainers from all over San Diego, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Orange, and we have them come on and talk about anything they like. It's every Monday at 7 p.m. Just go to facebook.com/gunownersradio, and you can join the live stream at 7 p.m. every Monday night. It's, no frills, no bells, no whistles. It's just straight information. And tomorrow is fan favorite and show favorite Joe Dramisi. You know Joe from all his writings. You know him from his teachings, and you know him from Gun Owners Radio. Great guy, wonderful instructor. And the name of his talk is A Trainer's View of the World. He's going to update you on some things that he's learned and seen. So join the live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and X.
How long do they normally last?
A half hour.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, quick and easy. Get right to it. Tell us what's going on. Give us a concept or a philosophy or a happening or something.
Is it interactive, or do you just?
Yep, you can ask questions at the end.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Hey, on X, Rich, do we just stream it over X, or is it like that Spaces? No, it's streamed over X. Just streamed over X. Okay, cool. So Gun Owners Radio's X. Check it out. All right, San Diego Gun Show, September 7th and 8th. Guns are going to be for sale, and we will have a Gun Owners Symposium. Speakers include Gary Gibson on the law of self-defense in California. Boy, is that important. So you get a free symposium. You get a free lecture from one of the best attorneys I've ever met, all on the law of self-defense in California, which is so important if you're a gun owner, especially if you're a CCW holder. Let's see, Jake Wiskerchen and Mike Sodini from Walk the Talk America will be joining, talking about mental health and gun owners. Mental health and gun owners. What an important What an important subject, and not one that's it's not really all that clear cut.
No, it's not.
It's and it's something that I think most people don't think they're going to have to face, but a surprisingly high number of gun owners do, whether it's another family member or themselves.
I think a lot of them hesitate to even reach out for help because they think they're going to lose their guns.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. Plus, if it's a parent, if it's dad who taught you how to use guns, and he's getting older and maybe he's got some mental health issues, and now you got to tell dad, hey, it's time to give up the gun. That's a tough conversation to have. Anyway, check them out. I think it'll be extremely interesting. Walk the talk, mental health and gun owners. That'll be a very interesting lecture at the gun show. In-person classes. Our buddy John Baldwin is going to do Intro to Ham Radio. Ooh, that sounds delicious. I love ham. How to clean your gun from SEAL 1. I think Dwight's going to teach that, but somebody from SEAL 1 is going to teach that. SEAL 1, the absolute best cleaner and lubricant for your gun. And then you can meet your endorsed officials at the San Diego County Gun Owners table. We're going to cycle in endorsed candidates all day, Saturday and Sunday, so you can meet some of these endorsed officials and shake their hand, ask them a question, thank them, or have a request or a complaint or take a picture, whatever you like. Should be a very interesting time. But again, that's September 7th and 8th, San Diego Gun Show in Escondido. If you want to be a part of the show or you want to support and get in front of all these attendees, email gunshow@gunownersradio.com, gunshow@gunownersradio.com. So that's if you want to set up a table, or if you want more information, if you want to be a vendor, something like that, you want to email gunshow@gunownersradio.com. I'm looking forward. You going?
I'll be there.
Yeah?
Yep.
You have any particular job that you're doing? Are you giving a lecture, or we're not sure yet?
We are. That's in the works. We're coming up formulating a plan still.
I think it's amazing. I think these symposiums are a really good idea.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's so much to get out of this. Okay, maybe you're not in the market for a gun, and maybe you don't need any ammo, and maybe there all the other accessories that are on the table isn't something for you. Mm-hmm. But a class, a free lecture,
that's it.
A discounted class, meet an endorsed candidate.
I think there'll be a lot of people too that walk the show that didn't go maybe for the symposium. So the flip side's also true. But hey, why not while I'm here? Let me see if I can learn something.
Yeah,
I might stop in by where they otherwise may not have.
Yeah, I think that one of the areas we've done so many good things as a gun community. We got CCWs issued, and then of course the Supreme Court really helped us out when they reaffirmed what we were already doing. Basically, we're getting people elected. We're getting some wins as far as lawsuits. We're doing some really, really good things. I think the one thing that we should probably concentrate on, and maybe we'll make this a post-election focus, is really building out the gun community. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're doing a good enough job of being a community. And I'll tell you, attending this gun show, taking a class, bringing a friend, that's a good first step.
Absolutely.
And if you look there's so many other civil rights and other types of political groups, it is a major part of their victory is the ability to be and act and become a community, a true community where people show up, people participate, and it's an important part of their life. So again, gun show, San Diego Gun Show in Escondido. Big thanks to Rich for all that you do, bud. This is very, very awesome that you're working so hard on this gun show. And a big thanks to Mayor Dane White for helping us find a location and really making sure that this happens. So.
I'd like to really quickly and absolutely all those things are absolutely true that you're stating, but I one of the things that a thought that I had as you were speaking and you were mentioning training. Mm-hmm. I think that word's thrown around a lot, and I'm seeing people go through, for example, CCW courses, mm-hmm. running them through the quals, seeing a really huge gap in those who dedicate to training versus those who think that if they can hit a target and pass a qual, that's good enough. Mm. I can't emphasize enough. If you think that you are good enough and you don't need training, I think we got a problem. I think that you should always be aiming to do better, to get better, right? Just simply knowing how to hit paper on a target.
Not
In my
enough.
opinion, not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough.
You know, I was talking to Kyle, your colleague down at DGM yesterday,
Right.
and he was telling me about a study that was done, and that his numbers also confirm it, that only about 1% of people who get a CCW do any training.
I would have to say that sounds pretty accurate from what I've seen as well.
1%.
Yeah.
So if we can just get that number to 2%, it would be an amazing
Double.
thing.
You
Yeah.
double. Yeah.
He said that, you know, people that come and take the class, I forget who he said. I should probably have written it down. He referenced it, but a guy did a very serious study and found out that you get your CCW, you take your class, and then only 1%, 1 out of 100 of those people continue to take a class,
And far too many don't touch that gun again until they recoil in 2 years.
and that's not enough.
Not okay.
Not Me is for women, by women, and designed to help women with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. If you're a woman or you know a woman who needs help, have her sign up and we will give her the help she needs. To sign up, just go to notmesd.org.
Okay, our next guest is someone we've had on before, and we love very, very much. Amanda Suffecool, how are you?
I am great.
Good. Thank you for coming on. What an honor.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So what, talk a little bit about, you've been up to a lot, you've had a lot going on.
Oh, well, yeah. That's what happens when you retire from your day job so that you can work in the area that is where your heart is. And so I have been blessed, absolutely blessed to be able to talk guns and make it a focal point in my world.
That's awesome. So you retired from your day job? What do you mind me asking? What was your day job?
Aerospace engineer.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't that scare you?
That's
Yeah,
a real
no,
job.
seriously. Well, you know, everybody had an elevator speech, and mine was, I kept airplanes in the sky, right?
So, Amanda, what was harder? Either your career before or fighting for gun rights now?
Well, both equally frustrating in different ways. With aerospace, there's solid rules that you can depend on. And with gun rights, it's a slippery slope that shifts every different direction, and you've got to really be on your game.
And now and you got a lot going on. Okay, so people probably know you from Eye on the Target Radio, which you can hear eyeonthetargetradio.com. And then you're also heavily involved with someone needs to smack me. DC Project is no longer DC Project. I forget what their new name is.
Women for Gun Rights.
Women for Gun Rights.
It used to be DC Project Women for Gun Rights. And if you stopped at DC Project, people would be like, what is that? So we were like, hey, why don't we just skip that part and actually name it what it is, which is women from all 50 states that are fighting for the Second Amendment and fighting for gun rights.
I think it's a good move. You know, it's going to take me a while to remember it, but that's me. That's a reflection of me, not a reflection of the name. The new name is awesome. I think that's great. Or the new version of the name.
Mm-hmm.
And then talk about and you got a new thing on your resume. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, so you're talking about politics. Is that where you're going?
I think so. Yeah, the national. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I have two new things.
Okay.
All right. I've been elected onto the board of directors of the NRA.
That's what I was going at. Congratulations!
Okay.
I know that is not an easy thing to get done, and I know you worked hard to do it. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I have to say that it's. I believe that people are put in places at times because they needed to be in this place at that time. And so that's kind of where I believe that my position at the NRA Board of Directors, that a lot of skill sets that I've got have worked together to kind of put me there. And then at the same time, I'm involved in politics. And so I just got elected. I'm the chairman of the Republican Party in my county, and I just got elected onto the state central committee, which is part of the state-level Republican Party.
I didn't know that. Congratulations on that as well. Holy cow.
now you take all that together, and that means that when I talk to politicians, it's like, guess what is the biggest thing on the table? Gun rights, right? So it has given me a platform and an audience that is just kind of bar none. I mean, I actually have had time with J.D. Vance, with Jim Jordan. You know, it's been a great thing. And then with the NRA and that, it just is all kind of coming together to everything to fight for the Second Amendment. And gun rights are very political, and so it all kind of ties together.
That's very cool. Remind people what state are you in?
I am in Ohio.
Ohio. Now, generally, how is the state of affairs as far as gun rights in Ohio? How goes it?
Well, I like to joke that Ohio is, hey, wait for me, right? That there's nothing new and innovative that happens in Ohio, and generally Ohio is like the 40th state to pass whatever, right? So when you get into concealed carry, and you get into all of that, it's like, oh, hang on, I'm coming. So when we were the 22nd state to pass constitutional carry, I was like, oh my goodness, they have upped their game. But we're just kind of, I would say, very, very middle of the road portion of free America.
I was going to say, because it's not, I don't think people, if you're from California, you don't know much about Ohio. I don't think it's assumed that Ohio would be a state that would go for constitutional carry. They're not. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, but they're not. Ohio is not deep anything. They're not deep red. They're not deep blue. They're not deep anti. They're not deep pro Second Amendment. It is very middle of the road. So that is that was the result of hard work. That didn't just happen.
It didn't just happen, but yes, exactly. And so yeah, Ohio's tagline, they call it Ohio, the heart of it all, and I'm like, Ohio, wait for me, right? We're coming. So
that's cool. So talk about, if you don't mind, because it is. Talk a little bit about the Republican Party, being a part of the Republican Party.
Well, I was at the RNC.
Yeah.
So the Republican National Convention just in Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago.
We'll talk about that before we get into it. How was that fun, or what did you give us a little rundown on that? Well,
to all of us that are pro-gun, Ohio is very glad to give you J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance's one big statement and this was way prior to them tagging him for this big position, was that the ATF needs to be defunded. So he is definitely solidly in our camp.
The ATF needs to be defunded. I mean, not even like reined in, but just completely defunded. I like that.
Boom. Right. Exactly. So defunded. So you can get an idea of where he is coming from. He's very, very much pro-gun, raised very much pro-gun by his grandmother. Mm-hmm. And so it is to our benefit in the Second Amendment world, especially when you're looking at potentially the VP pick for the other team, you know. And I know that the senator from Arizona is in play, so it could be the clash of the anti-gun, pro-gun titans.
That's interesting.
As we head into this election cycle.
So I think that there's, I don't know how to describe the relationship between hardcore gun folks and the Republican Party in general. I wish it were tighter, but I wish it were tighter with Democrats too. I wish that gun rights weren't a political football.
You're right, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. It's a constitutional right. And as Tony Simon says, the second is for everyone.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be. The Constitution and the points on the Constitution should not be political platform issues. It shouldn't be. What did they say? The Gun Owners Action League, is it, goal, says self-defense is a human right. I mean, and that I think that really ought to be the platform on guns and gun rights. But
So-
they have made it. They've politicized it so much.
They have, and it's tough to. And I've said about San Diego County gun owners. I said, hey, we it's not that we have an agenda. We don't have an agenda. The agenda is to stand in between other people's agendas and our rights. You know what I mean? It's not like we said, well, we're just going to exist and force some things down people's throats. I mean, our organization started because other people had an agenda. We just want to be left alone and be able to own and carry and train and raise kids and pay taxes and all that other stuff. So how do you think with the Republican Party, like what do you think? How can it be? First off, how is it in Ohio? And the reason I ask, in California and San Diego, the Republican Party is not very strong on Second Amendment at all, and it's very difficult to get them to stand up for Second Amendment. Now there are some exceptions that are rock solid, but in general, it's kind of we're treated as
I'm a Republican, but
exactly
I'm this, but right. And you get that on all kinds of things, but guns are such a polarizing issue. Recently, I was talking to somebody, and they said, "Well, we're going to find somebody that's neutral on guns and do this." And I was like, "There is no one who is neutral on guns." And they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "You can ask anyone. I don't care if they're involved in guns or not. You ask them, and they all have a solid opinion one way or another. It's either chocolate or vanilla. There is no somebody wants Neapolitan. It just is. And so it's so polarizing.
I don't even what is neutral on. I don't even know what that looks like. Like what would a person who is neutral, like what does that mean? I
don't know that. Because it's like, okay, so maybe the closest to neutral would have been Markeith Robinson, that is the lieutenant governor in one of the Carolinas. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I don't own guns. I don't think I need to own guns, but I respect your right to have a gun. I kind of think that's probably as close to neutral as you can get. But I think that's just me.
That stance would absolutely make all gun owners and all anti-gun owners hate him equally. I think you're right.
So it's neutral, right?
Totally neutral. So how in Ohio is it? It's got to be better than California, though. The Republicans, do they tend to stand up for Second Amendment? Are they unapologetic, or are they guns are cool, but or what are your thoughts on the Republican Party and guns in Ohio?
They
actually, and hold that. Let's answer that on the other side of the commercial. I'm sorry, Amanda.
Hey, do you belong to an association, a club, or maybe an organization that's wrestling with their marketing? Well, most organizations waste a lot of money on marketing because it's so tough managing, everything. Website, social media, e-commerce, email, and the list goes on. Leave frustration behind with Sage Street's fractional marketing department. Services. They take care of everything. Planning, developing, advertising, and more. Getting started is real easy. Visit SageTree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button. That's SageTree.com. Click on that Schedule an Appointment button, and once they set you up, just sit back and wait for the good things to come.
All right, we're talking to an amazing woman and a fantastic advocate for the Second Amendment, Amanda Suffecool. From you know her from Eye on the Target Radio, which you can see if you go to eyeonthetargetradio.com and check out her show. She's fantastic. You also, what we're about to talk about is she is an NRA board member, and she is slowly taking over the Republican Party of Ohio. So before we went into the commercial, Amanda, I asked you what's the general view on Second Amendment with Republicans in Ohio, and what are your thoughts on that?
Some that are very vocal, and then there's some that are like, yeah, but. Yeah. So it's kind of good because I'm getting to the point where I have a reputation to where they're like, oh, you're that gun girl, right? Like, oh, I guess I am. So yeah, so let's talk that, right? Whatever that is. So it's at least getting the attention that I believe it needs, and so it's a good move.
Good. And again, that kind of stuff doesn't just happen. That takes hard work, and you're doing the hard work. So let's talk about the NRA. You're on the board of directors of NRA. Talk about that. What made you run? How are things? I know there's probably some things you're not really going to want to comment on. Because you're a volunteer. Board of directors, you know what I mean? I understand there's some things you don't want to get into specifically, but tell us as much as you can.
I can tell you quite a bit right now because, as you know, or as a lot of people know, New York went after the NRA a few years ago, actually 6 now, and they have been in a court case defending for their very life for 6 years. And because of that, there's been a lot of shifts in a lot of things. So, namely that they terminated the agreement with their marketing company. So the NRA has kind of almost in effect stopped marketing. They're still doing a lot of things, but they stopped marketing. Remember the NRA
TV,
NRA?
Yeah,
you're right. And I'm the NRA and I vote,
right.
Or I'm the NRA and this is those kinds of platforms. They stopped doing all of those. Well, a week ago, the court cases came to an end. Absolutely came to an end. So they're still waiting for a final judge's decision on something. But New York had asked first that the NRA be disbanded in its entirety, which means that all the assets of the NRA stay in the state of New York and get disseminated to other gun rights organizations. So when you think about that, they're like, oh, okay. So if they do that, then they go to other gun fighting for your gun rights. Nope. So the other gun rights, gun safety organizations are Everytown and Moms Demand and all of those organizations that have a standing in New York, Bloomberg.
What kind of banana republic? I mean, how can you possibly justify that level of penalty? I mean, that's what they wanted. If someone's doing something wrong, then okay, fine them or send them to jail.
Fire them or some. Yeah.
That's just so beyond. I just want to comment on how ridiculously horrible that the concept of that, even for them to ask that, is so ridiculously un-American, whether it's NRA or no matter what it is. But if an organization has wronged somebody, great, force them to make that person whole, but disband them and give all their assets to the people who they were working against. That's insanity.
Yeah. Right. So that explains a lot of the things that you've heard in the last few years. And so other groups other really good groups have gotten a foothold in areas that they hadn't been before. So that's where, and I'll name them. I mean, and they're doing good work. But Second Amendment Foundation and Firearms Policy Coalition and Gun Owners of America and all of those organizations, there are people who are like, I'm never giving money to the NRA anymore because I'm going to give it to these. If you're giving money to those organizations, good on you. They are also doing good work. So, and I'm a life member of several of those organizations. Just saying.
Sure.
But know that the NRA is multiple times larger and involved in a wide variety of things that each one of those, you look at the whole pie and that's the NRA, and you look at a slice or two of the pie and that's each of those other organizations.
Okay, so somebody who's uncomfortable with NRA because of everything that's gone on or everything that they've heard or whatever, if they're uncomfortable with NRA, what other than the size?
I tell them go join Second Amendment Foundation right now and pay their life membership.
But what would you say to get someone back to NRA other than, hey, they're huge? Like what does the future look like? What are the plans that what's gonna make them do things differently than they were doing?
I tell them to watch for the next 6 months, watch for the next year.
Okay.
And because right now, we're a week out of a lawsuit. So it has paralyzed people as they do what they they have been doing, but they can't. They're like, if I move left, is the court going to look at me? If I move right, is the court going to look at me? If I add another program, is the court going to look at me? So everybody's pretty much been status quo for a long time. I mean, and you cannot blame any employee because they're like, I don't want to bring the wrath of New York down upon them, upon this organization because of a decision I made. So I'm not going to make that decision, right?
Wow.
So this has been, I mean, absolutely, you can hear everyone take a deep breath when the court case was over.
Understandable. That's fair.
So now you'll start to see or hear things. I mean, there's been some management changes. There's been some board changes. There's been, I mean, at the executive level, Doug Hamlin is now in place where Wayne LaPierre was. You know, and if you look, he's communicating more with the members of meat and potatoes information than the members have gotten in a long, long time. So I'm very optimistic. But I tell people, you know, good on you if you paid enough attention to see that the NRA had an issue. Because there's a lot of people who are like, wait, what? So the fact that you paid attention, kudos. Now the second part is I want you to pay attention again. Okay. Because now you're going to see things. Yeah. And then the second part is that there's a vehicle for you to write to any board member you want to, or every board member, that you can contact the corporate office and say, you know, there's something that I believe that every board member needs to know, and they'll forward it to them, so that there's that, and then know that the board itself is made up of some really, really smart people, and we don't all agree. Well, and kind of sometimes loudly, we don't all agree, but you know, there's not a person who got on the board because they wanted to tear down the NRA. So everybody maybe disagrees, but they don't disagree fundamentally 180 degrees mindset. It's, should we turn a little right? Should we turn a little left? Should we, you know, whatever. And so, but it is a lot of strategic navigating through the board. And so it's kind of interesting, and it's kind of fun. And for me, a lot of the old guard board members don't have any idea of who I am or what my skill sets are or what I bring to the table. And so it's really easy to be discounted the first time. And from there, they're like, oh, wait, what? So, yeah.
Well, how often do you guys meet? I know, and other than like the annual, like, do you guys have regular meetings, or how does that work? So there are some Zoom meetings. There's a lot of communication stuff, and then there's actually 3 meetings over the course of the year. And then there are a series of committees, and so there are committees for anything from outreach to grassroots to, you know, this competition to publications to, you know, legislative. So there's all of these different committees, and those committees also meet at different intervals throughout the year. And then the committees report back to the board. That's interesting. What committees are you on?
So right now I am on the finance committee.
Oh, wow.
So just got elected onto the finance, or appointed onto the finance. Prior to that, I was on the grassroots committee.
That's interesting. All right. Well, I think that's interesting. I can't thank you enough for stepping. You know, in all sincerity, I'm not ready to make a big move back to the NRA. I don't discourage anyone, because I do think we need a strong NRA. So this is not discouraging anybody, but I haven't made my decision yet. I think that your advice to, you know, hey, give us 6 months. We promise we'll start to prove ourselves again. All right, great. I look forward to doing that. I think we need a strong NRA. I think there are a lot of benefits to having a big, strong, organized, well-funded NRA, and I want to see those benefits again.
Not to interrupt you, but I had a conversation with Eric Pratt of Gun Owners of America.
Yep, heard of them.
And Eric said, yes, exactly. And Eric was like, because the NRA at that point, at the specific point of the conversation, was the NRA was going through a really, really tough time. And Eric was like, he's hearing a lot of his members go, wow, blah, 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 and be negative. And he was like, wait, you guys don't understand that if the NRA is in the room, they're the elephant in the room that everybody's taking shots at.
Right.
And while they're taking shots at the NRA, we are able to get things done.
Exactly.
Differently.
Exactly.
And
I can't tell you how many times I got in to see a politician because I said, well, I'm not the NRA. Oh, all right. Well, then you come on in. Come in. I'm pro-gun, but I'm not that. Right? Exactly. Because they made a career out of hating the NRA. Amanda, what would you like to promote? Which of your many hats would you like to promote and drive our listeners to?
So just check out the eyeonthetargetradio.com. I am the only female nationally syndicated radio host in the nation that talks Second Amendment.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Have you been keeping your guns clean and lubricated the way you should?
Nope.
Didn't think so. So if you've been procrastinating because cleaning your guns with traditional products is smelly and a pain in the you-know-what, then you need to get some SEAL One. SEAL One is an all-in-one product that cleans, lubricates, protects your firearms. Clean your guns faster, easier, safer with SEAL One. No more smelling like gas. Enjoy the confidence and peace of mind knowing your guns are protected with the best. Buy some now at SEAL1.com. And we really want to thank SEAL One for sponsoring our STUMP by NEPHEW.
We should do like an old school 80s commercial, like when they used to do like the fragrance commercials that were all dramatic. We should do one for SEAL One where it's like we're on some like Mediterranean beach or something.
Have some music in the background.
Yeah, faster, easier, safer. SEAL One. Get all dramatic.
That was SEAL One. I was going someplace else. You can go to jail for stuff like that.
I'll run it by Dwight.
Yeah, run it by him.
Yeah, see what he says. Dwight's an idea man. He'll like it. All right, it's time for everybody's. What's that?
Who's Dwight?
Dwight,
the owner
SEAL
of
One.
SEAL One.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Great guy too. SEAL One and Dwight, you guys are awesome, both of you. Okay, Stump My Nephew, everyone's favorite segment, sponsored by SEAL One. Thank you so much, SEAL One, for sponsoring this segment. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Everybody listening out there, go buy some SEAL One as soon as you can. And if you shop at a shop that doesn't carry SEAL One, ask them why. Tell them it's your favorite and that they really need to pick up some SEAL One. So, Sam, are you there?
If SEAL 1 is so great, why isn't there a SEAL 2?
Because they got it right the first time.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. SEAL 2, Electric Boogaloo. They didn't need a sequel.
It took WD 39 failed attempts before they got the right formulation. So I guess one out of one isn't bad.
That's right.
And do you know where WD-40 is based?
No, I don't.
San Diego.
Really?
Yeah. Next time we're out here, we'll go to the HQ, the WD-40
do they do a
HQ.
factory tour?
They do.
Yeah, for 39 different times.
Like, I know California's big on the wine tastings. Does WD-40 have a tasting at their factory tour?
If anybody would know, it would be Michael.
What they allow you to do is all their doors are squeaky, so as you're going through, you get to spray the...
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. So it's not a sampling like at a wine. It's a
testing.
Yeah, you get to
the lubricating part.
Spray the
it was designed for ballistic missiles.
Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't. What do you mean? Why do you got to lubricate a ballistic missile?
So it gets off the ground.
Well, I'll tell you after.
So it can get out of the submarine. When they launch it out of the submarine, they got to WD-40 it down. Okay, all right. It's good. Okay, that's a good teaser, as they say in the biz. Okay, this question comes from San Rafael. Actually, it comes from Jake, who lives in San Rafael. The question is, the Tavor rifle includes several variants. I'm going to guess you're going to get this right. You're kind of a bullpup junkie. But anyway, okay, the Tavor rifle includes several variants. Can you name at least 3 different models and briefly describe their difference?
Jake from beautiful San Rafael. Thank you for writing in. I'm assuming San Rafael is beautiful.
Of course it is. Why else would Jake be there?
Well, Hats off to you, Jake. Sounds like you picked a good place to live. Jake from San Rafael. Name at least 3 variants of the Tavor and explain what makes them different. The Tavor, for those of you who don't know, is a military rifle of Israeli design, manufacture, and origin. Variants thereof are sold and have been sold on the U.S. commercial market, so you can actually buy a semi-automatic version. And I haven't shot one personally, but by all accounts, they seem to work pretty well. The original pattern of Tavor was designated SAR, I believe, just for standard assault rifle, but don't quote me on that. And it basically consisted of a Galil, which is an AK pattern rifle, also of Israeli production, crammed into a plastic bullpup chassis. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's basically what it amounts to mechanically. It's very similar to an AK. The current production variant that you will see on gun store shelves, however, is not the SAR, that is the X95. It has some aesthetic changes, notably in the pistol grip. It uses, I guess the forend is different, stuff like that, but mechanically it's pretty much the same. All of the changes on the X95 are going to be external there. And just as an easy identification rule of thumb, X95s come with a larger trigger guard, and they tend to be more angular in outward appearance. But again, mechanically, pretty much the same as far as I'm aware. The Tavor 7, which as far as I know is only a commercial market thing, I don't know of any military use of the Tavor 7, is mechanically different inside, and it is chambered for .308 Winchester 7.62 by 51. So it actually is functionally different, and it is also noticeably larger to accommodate the different round.
I think you got it. Here's one of the only place that the answers differ, and let's talk about this because I don't know. You're probably gonna know more than me. His first one, he named the Tavor X95, and you're exactly right. More compact version of the original, and it's either 5.56 or actually comes in 9 or 300 blackout. And
yeah, you can get caliber conversion kits for those, so you can have a 300 blackout bullpup if you want. That's a pretty neat concept.
It is. That's awesome. And then the Tavor 7, like you said, is 7.62. The first one he lists, though, is the Tavor TAR 21.
Yeah, that's the Israeli military designation for the original pattern. As far as I'm aware, that may be an internal thing to the company, but that was the first pattern.
So the one so it's the different name for the same version that you mentioned?
I believe so.
No, the SAR is different.
The SAR is different?
The SAR is different. The TAR 21 has what looks to be like an AK mag. The SAR has more of an angled AR mag.
The SAR is based on the Galil, which is based on an AK. The TAR it uses like an M16 mag, right? Is that what we're saying?
I think it's the other way around.
The other way around. Yeah.
Oh, the other way around.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, so they are different.
They are different. They are different. Correct.
But you still named 3 versions.
Absolutely. 3 very valid, correct versions. Absolutely.
Correct.
And when you threw in the 4th one that we had, he did not. Correct. He knew exactly about that one too.
There you go. A Tavor junkie, a bit of a Tavor junkie. I've fired a Tavor. I fired a Tavor, and I fired a Galil, and I fired a Jericho, and it was all on the same day.
I've got a few scars from a Tavor.
What do you mean? Why do you have a Tavor scar?
Well, long story short,
are you left-handed?
No, yes and no. I'm cross dominant, and I choose to shoot long guns left, and they have a very straight to the rear ejection.
And it bit you?
It found its way down my shirt quite a few times. Yeah, it hits just
the ejection is reversible, but you have to field strip the rifle to make that happen.
I know. That's it.
You didn't have any SEAL 1s. You couldn't do it.
Who's the manufacturer of the Tavor again? It's the
IWI.
IWI. So IWI had a really cool event at a range, and I got to shoot all their cool toys. And like I said, the Galil is basically a jazzed up AK. The Tavor is a bullpup in 5.56, and then the Jericho is a What's the name of the pistol everybody makes fun of? The man bun.
It's a CZ75.
CZ75. It's CZ75
I've never heard that.
that they jazz it up.
pretty
The
funny.
Jericho? Or the
No,
man bun?
the
gun?
man bun.
Man bun
part.
gun?
Yeah, I've never heard that. That's pretty,
I'm coining that phrase right now. The CZs or the man gun bun. Or man bun gun.
The name of your new band.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, cool, man. Congratulations. You did a great job. Wonderful, wonderful job, my friend. What do you got? You got anything in the hoppers?
The missile thing.
Yeah.
the missile thing.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, WD-40 was designed for use with the original Atlas family of ICBMs because they used a stainless steel balloon tank. And how do you protect stainless steel from rusting? Well, you want to apply some kind of a protective coating to it, ideally some kind of penetrating lubricant that displaces water. And so whichever company produces WD-40 developed it, and they got it wrong 39 times. The 40th formulation ended up working. So water displacing Formula 40 became WD-40.
That's interesting. I saw a speech by the CEO of WD-40 at the time, and he
Did
said,
you know what WD stood for?
"Yeah, water displacement."
I didn't know.
Of course, I did.
I learned something new today.
I did too. I don't think
Was
mine
he a
did.
really slick public speaker?
Boom. But it was kind of interesting. He was like, "Look, it's WD-40. You buy one can and you have it for 20 years. You know,
So I go through that stuff like crazy.
Oh, do you? All right. Well,
You're not
you're
supposed to eat it.
you're
Aftershave.
you're one of the few. But he said what they try to sell is the experience because everybody grew up with and their dad had a can of WD-40
absolutely.
and the smell brings back memories or
It's
whatever.
the only can I can buy 3 of them and be gone in 2 days because I can't find
What do
them.
you use it on?
I can't find them.
Oh, you can't find them.
They get eaten up in my house.
I've cleaned guns with it, but it's nowhere near Seal 1 quality.
You need a miniature can to carry around in a hip holster like Hank Hill.
They have those. They have these little tiny WD-40s that are really
Yeah. Yep.
They're great for locks.
And a while ago, there was this whole internet rumor that WD-40 was made of like fish eyes or some weird whatever. It's a petroleum product. It's but anyway. Sam, awesome job, bud. Really appreciate the rocket info, and of course appreciate the Tavor info, and appreciate you, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Good night, everyone.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.